The sting of rejection from military service wasn't just the doctor's verdict on my inner ear, it was the bitter truth that I was a year too young to chase the same reckless dream my friends called a grand adventure. They shipped out, laughing and fearless, while I was left behind, watching days bleed into weeks. The newsreels told a darker story. Soldiers I'd known, faces I could still picture, were stranded in a void, cut off from letters, calls, or any whisper of home. It hit me like a blade I'd taken their sacrifices for granted, as if their absence was just a pause in our lives. Then the real blow landed. Three of the guys who'd stood shoulder to shoulder with me at the recruitment office, their eyes alight with nervous hope, were gone. Killed in combat. The weight of it clung to me, a relentless ache that demanded I do anything to make it right. One evening, the television flickered with a story about the armed forces forwarding anonymous letters to soldiers without families, a small gesture to lift their spirits. Something in me stirred. I jotted down the number, called, and learned the details. The woman on the line mentioned that letters from girls were especially cherished, a detail that stuck with me. I didn't overthink it. I sat down and began writing as Haley, a fictional girl I conjured up 5'7", auburn hair, blue eyes that sparkled, and a smile that could thaw the coldest heart. It felt harmless, a way to bring a sliver of comfort to someone out there. A few days later, an email from my cousin Kayla popped up. We weren't close, but we got to talking, and she mentioned a guy serving alongside her boyfriend, someone named Tyler, who had no one writing to him. "Maybe you know a girl who could send him a letter?" she suggested. I didn't hesitate. "Sure, I know someone," I said, thinking of Haley. I figured, what's the harm? If I could ease a soldier's loneliness by writing as a girl, it was worth a shot. So I fleshed out Haley's world a bit more and sent off a letter to Tyler, filling it with small-town gossip and light-hearted complaints about the lack of decent guys around. His reply came quickly, raw and unfiltered. He wrote about the chaos of war, the constant threat of gunfire, the tasteless MREs he choked down, and the loss of two buddies, one wounded, one gone forever. After a few exchanges, I went further. I baked cookies, packed them with some boxed drinks, and sent them off to him. Our letters stayed friendly at first, a safe back and forth. But after the cookies, something shifted. His words grew bolder, tinged with a longing that caught me off guard. Then came the request. He wanted a picture of Haley. "If I'm gonna die out here," he wrote, "I at least want to know what you look like." Panic set in. Haley didn't exist. I had no one to pose as her, no photo to send. In a moment of desperation, I turned to my mom, hoping she'd know someone who could help. I spilled everything how I'd created Haley, why I'd done it, how it had spiraled. Her reaction was swift and sharp. "Teasing men who are risking their lives isn't just mean, it's cruel," she said, her voice cutting through me. I felt the weight of her words, the accusation that I'd toyed with someone in danger. But later, as her anger softened, she saw the heart behind my actions. "Your intentions were good," she admitted, "but you've created a mess. You'll have to fix it." Hours passed in tense silence until, out of nowhere, Mom spoke again, a glint in her eye. "You wanted to make his time away bearable, and you've done that writing letters, sending cookies, acting like this girl. But there's no Haley for him to see, is there?" I stayed quiet, knowing she wasn't expecting an answer. "Here's the thing," she continued, a mischievous edge to her voice. "We can make Haley real, at least for a photo. Hair can be dyed, and you've got those striking blue eyes. We'll get you dressed up as a girl, take a few pictures, and send them to Tyler. It'll give him something to hold on to." I blinked, stunned. "Me? As a girl?" I stammered. "Yes, you," she said firmly. "You're the one who started this, who wrote the letters, who sent the cookies. There's no one else." I couldn't believe she was serious, but her plan was already in motion. Tomorrow, we'll get you some clothes, she said, undeterred by my protest. We'll fix you up, and trust me, you'll look convincing as Haley. You wanted to see this through, didn't you? Her tone softened, but her words carried a challenge. You had a kind heart starting this. Now you've got to finish it. I stood there, reeling, as the weight of my own creation pressed down on me, pulling me toward a choice I never imagined I'd face. Mom's resolve was unshakable, her pragmatism cutting through my protests like a knife through soft butter. This man deserves more than cookies and scented paper, she said, her voice steady but warm. A picture of Haley is exactly what he needs. Now stand up so I can measure you. There was no room for argument. She'd decided I was going to become Haley, and my worries didn't even register on her radar. That evening, after dinner, she slathered my skin with hair remover, the sharp chemical sting leaving me red and raw until we smoothed on lotion to soothe it. I thought that was the end of it, but Mom wasn't done. She led me to the bathroom, washed my hair, and dyed it a soft auburn, just as I'd described Haley. Rollers followed, pinning my hair into tight curls. In my usual pajamas, I looked ridiculous, but Mom just smiled. By tomorrow lunchtime, she promised, you'll be a beautiful young lady. Sleeping on those rollers was torture, and when I shuffled into the bathroom the next morning, the sight of my curler-covered head sent a shiver down my spine. After breakfast, Mom disappeared to pick up a few things, returning with a grin and a bag that spelled trouble. In my bedroom, she handed me a pair of panties. I hesitated, but her raised eyebrow pushed me past my reluctance. Then came a bra, stuffed with socks for shape, followed by a padded panty brief, a waist-cinching contraption, pantyhose, a slip, and low heels. When she guided me to her vanity, I braced for a heavy-handed makeover, but instead, she handed me a jar of foundation. Girls your age know how to do their own makeup, she said. You might need to send more pictures someday, so you'd better learn. Under her watchful eye, I applied powder, eyeshadow, eyeliner, and blush, each step chipping away at the boy I knew, until I caught my reflection. With curlers still in, I didn't look like myself, I looked like a girl in progress. Back in my room, Mom slipped a dress over my head and zipped it up, the fabric hugging my newly shaped waist. She removed the rollers, brushing my hair into soft waves that cascaded over my shoulders. Clip-on earrings, a delicate necklace, and a swipe of soft red lipstick completed the transformation. In the mirror, I froze. My legs, bare from mid-thigh down, rivaled any I'd seen at school. My waist looked trim, my bust convincing, and my auburn hair framed a face that wasn't mine. Mom took my hand and led me to the backyard, camera in tow. I played along, posing playfully, lifting the hem of my dress to show a bit more leg, kneeling to pet our cat, bending to sniff the flowers. She snapped photos the whole time, her enthusiasm infectious. After lunch, I swapped the dress for a pleated skirt and a snug white top. Mom, not content with backyard shots, convinced me to head to the park for more pictures. 2 rolls of film later, I was almost comfortable in the short skirt, a fact I foolishly admitted. It's not so bad, is it? She teased as we dropped off the film and headed home. That evening, I emailed Tyler, letting him know pictures were on the way, both by mail and digitally. Helping Mom set the table, I barely noticed how natural the clothes felt. It was a one-time thing, I told myself. By tomorrow, aside from the lingering auburn tint in my hair, I'd be back to normal. When Mom returned with the developed photos, I saw Haley on film for the first time. To my shock, I didn't look half bad. One shot stood out. The sun caught my hair, making it glow, my eyes wide and bright, a genuine smile on my face. Even I had to admit it was a great picture. As I headed to bed, Mom's voice stopped me. "Don't forget your makeup in the morning," she said casually. I spun around. "Why? We got the pictures. Why do I need to dress up again? She smiled, a glint of mischief in her eyes. Today was fun, like spending time with the daughter I never had. I thought we could have another day together, maybe go to the zoo? My stomach flipped. The zoo? In public? As a girl? I was watching today, she added. No one gave you a second glance. If we're careful, you'll be fine. What would I wear? I asked, grasping at straws. The dress and skirt were all I had. That skirt and top are still clean, she replied. Now get to bed and do your makeup like I showed you. The next morning, I faced the mirror alone, fumbling through the makeup routine. It wasn't as polished as when Mom helped, but it was close. I dressed myself, slipping into the skirt and top, and Mom brushed out my hair, pinning it back with small bows that kept it from falling in my face. As I stood there, a strange mix of nerves and curiosity bubbled up, pulling me deeper into Haley's world, a world that was starting to feel less like a disguise and more like a possibility. I stood in front of the mirror, hoop earrings glinting as I added a thin gold necklace and one of Mom's old watches. A swipe of lipstick, and I was ready almost. Mom spritzed me with perfume before I slipped into my gym shoes, the final touch to an outfit that felt less foreign than it should have. I wasn't thrilled about the idea of being discovered as a boy in a skirt, but I couldn't deny I looked decent. The worry lingered, but I pushed it aside, slinging the shoulder bag Mom handed me over my arm and tossing in my wallet and keys. We headed to the zoo, her camera dangling from her wrist like an extension of her hand. She let me drive, and as we wandered through the zoo's winding paths, dodging kids and pausing to watch penguins waddle and seals splash, she snapped pictures relentlessly. At one point, she handed her camera to a stranger to capture us together, and she did it again and again, burning through 3 rolls of film by the time we left. On the way home, we dropped off the film, and I started scanning the previous day's photos, cropping them to keep the focus on Haley. I was about to call it quits when Mom walked in with the zoo pictures. Freshly developed, she'd slipped out without me noticing. I scanned those too, ending up with 216 images. After sifting through them, I narrowed it down to 40 I thought were passable, saving them to a new folder. Mom looked over my choices, adding 10 more, and together we picked 6 to email Tyler, including one of us in front of the polar bear exhibit, my smile bright against the icy backdrop. The next day, I was back to myself, jeans, sneakers, no trace of Haley. The day after that, too. But on the third day, an email from Tyler arrived, overflowing with words that made it clear he was smitten with the girl in the photos. I tried to brush it off. He was overseas. I was here. What could happen? Then I opened his attachment. There he was. Tall, broad, towering over the soldiers beside him, his face smudged with dirt but lit by a wide, genuine smile. The bars of a second lieutenant gleamed faintly on his shoulders, a promotion I hadn't known about. I didn't know Tyler before all this. He was just a name passed to me by chance. He looked like a good guy, and I hoped he'd make it home. The thought of him searching for Haley when he returned didn't cross my mind, not yet. Then, Mom got a call from a friend on her club committee, a woman who turned out to be Tyler's mother. She'd seen the photo of Mom and me, forwarded by Tyler along with his mail. Recognizing Mom, she'd called on a whim, curious about the girl writing to her son. Mom broke the news to me later. We were invited to her house a week from Saturday for a chat, which really meant she wanted to meet Haley to size up the girl who'd captured her son's attention. I sank into a chair, dread pooling in my stomach. There was no way out. I'd have to become Haley again, as convincing as possible. Mom, standing nearby, started to giggle, her laughter bubbling into a full-blown cackle as she clutched her sides. Before I could process it, the phone rang again. It was Kayla, my cousin. Her boyfriend had been badly injured, she said. But that wasn't all. His LT mentioned a girl named Haley writing to him, she said. Is that you? Jake saw the picture you sent, the one with the sun in your hair, and he thought you looked familiar. He sent it to me before he got shot. I haven't heard from him since, but I know it's you, I stammered, trying to deflect, but Kayla cut me off. No buts. I'm coming over the day after tomorrow, and I want to meet Haley. Got it? When I told Mom, that familiar glint returned to her eyes. Looks like you'll be Haley for Kayla and Tyler's mom, she said. You've got 10 days to get comfortable as a girl before meeting his mother, so you might as well start now and stay that way until then. I swallowed hard, reeling from the weight of it. Then, almost as an afterthought, she added, Socks for breasts won't do anymore. Girls your age wear tops that show a bit of chest, maybe some cleavage. We need to find a shop that sells realistic breast forms, something that'll hold up under scrutiny. The reality of what I'd started sank deeper, pulling me into a role I hadn't meant to play, one that was becoming harder to step away from with every passing day. Mom's voice was calm but firm, her pragmatism anchoring the whirlwind I'd created. You'll need more than one outfit and some drugstore makeup, she said, her eyes scanning me as if already envisioning the next steps. We'll go shopping tomorrow and get everything you need to be Haley for as long as it takes to sort out this mess. If Tyler doesn't make it, you can go back to being yourself. But if he comes home, well, we'll deal with that when the time comes. For now, go to your room and use the hair removal cream again. You'll want smooth skin when we get you fitted for breast forms. She paused, her gaze softening but not relenting. Or you could tell everyone the truth. But think about how that would hit Tyler, out there in combat. I started to protest, the weight of it all crashing down. Mom, this is going to be so hard. I didn't think. She cut me off, her tone sharp. Exactly. You didn't think. Now you live with it. Taking my hand, she softened again. Who knows? Maybe you'll find something in this, and we'll laugh about it someday. Need help with the cream? I shook my head. No, I've got it. In my room, I stripped down, slathering on the stinging cream, its chemical bite a reminder of how deep I was in. Staring at my reflection, I searched for any sign I couldn't pull this off beyond the obvious. But at 5'7" and 135 pounds, with my auburn hair still wavy from the rollers, I knew I could pass with minimal padding. Admitting the truth wasn't an option. The humiliation would be unbearable, especially if my friends found out. The accusations would drown out my good intentions. No, becoming Haley, even for a while, was the better path. I'd find a way to gently let Tyler down later. Mom handed me a silky nightgown, insisting it was what girls wore, urging me to get used to it. The fabric felt soft, comforting even, and as I drifted to sleep, my mind wandered to what it would be like to have breasts. A strange dream followed Tyler's hands on me, my body responding like any girl's, leaving me unsettled when I woke. The next morning, I slipped into Mom's room to do my makeup, following her instructions from before. I pulled on the skirt and top again, trading the low heels for comfort, and tied my hair into a high ponytail, securing it with a clip. Hoop earrings and lipstick completed the look, and by the time Mom was ready, we were out the door, headed for a shop she'd found nearby. I talked to a woman named Melanie, she said as we drove. She fits about 20 men a year with breast forms, and they want them undetectable. She's got a new line, says once they're on, it'll be like you grew them yourself. I gave her your height and weight, and she said it'll take a few hours. I stayed silent, resigned. I'd sealed my fate when I chose to keep up the charade. The shop smelled of glue and paint, an odd mix that tickled my nose. Melanie was all business, stripping me to the waist and assessing my skin tone and size with quick precision. Without asking, she glued the breast forms to my chest, blending the edges with dye. When I looked in the mirror, I froze. They looked real, as if they'd always been there. A full B cup, Melanie confirmed, but the bra I'd worn was too small. I left the shop braless, the new weight swaying with each step, nipples pressing against my blouse. It felt exposing, but I didn't mention it to Mom, though her knowing glance suggested she noticed. Our next stop was the mall's lingerie section, where a saleswoman fitted me for bras without batting an eye. I was a nervous wreck as she adjusted the straps, ensuring the fit was perfect, but she acted like it was routine. I left with 4 bras, 2 plain, practical ones, and 2 lacy, low-cut push-ups that felt like a betrayal of my own skin. I wore one of the push-ups out of the store, Mom piling nightgowns and panties into the cart as we went. Skirts, dresses, a tailored suit, a swimsuit, jeans and shoes followed in a blur, the pile growing until we hauled it all to the car and returned for more. Each purchase pulled me deeper into Haley's world, a world that was no longer just a disguise but a reality I'd have to live, at least for now, with no clear end in sight. Mom's enthusiasm for transforming me into Haley seemed boundless, but I held my tongue until we stepped into a specialty lingerie shop. There, I was fitted with a corselet that cinched my waist and a padded brief that sculpted curves where none existed, expertly concealing any trace of my male anatomy. I thought we'd head home, but Mom had other plans, steering me into a salon where my transformation deepened. They trimmed and styled my hair into a semi-permanent wave, plucked my eyebrows into delicate arches, pierced my ears, and redid my makeup with a professional flourish. My nails were shaped and polished, each step pulling me further from the boy I'd been. When I caught my reflection, I froze. From head to toe, I was undeniably a girl, no hint of my former self remained. I'd crossed a threshold I hadn't even seen coming, and as Mom stared at me, her eyes wide with something like awe, I felt like a stranger in my own skin. Walking out of the salon, my stride naturally mirrored hers, elbows bent, arms swaying in rhythm with my steps. The skirt swished, my new breasts shifted slightly in the bra's cups, and a wave of femininity washed over me, both alien and intoxicating. We'd been home barely half an hour when Kayla arrived. I opened the door, watching her eyes widen as she searched for any sign of the cousin she knew. Grinning at her confusion, I spun playfully, letting my skirt flare, and led her to the family room. She followed, still staring, and sat across from me. After a beat of silence, she spoke. "When Tyler sees you, you'd better have a chastity belt on, because he's going to lose it." I laughed, brushing it off. "No way. There are tons of girls dying for a guy like him. I'm just a guy in a dress, Kayla. He'll see right through me, and it'll be over like that." I snapped my fingers for emphasis. She smirked. "Oh, he'll turn you to mush, but not how you think. One whisper in your ear, and you'll melt. You don't even realize you're every soldier's dream, do you?" I rolled my eyes. "I'm a mess, not a dream. I didn't want this. I was just trying to make things easier for some guy out there." Kayla's smile widened. "Deny it all you want, but you can't hide how you look or that you're enjoying it. That skirt twirl, those permed curls, pierced ears, and those nipples poking through. You're loving this, Haley, and you wouldn't stop even if you could." Before I could argue, she asked Mom to snap photos of us together, gleefully announcing she'd send them to Jake while I sent copies to Tyler. She left soon after, leaving me to wonder how much deeper this rabbit hole went. Each day that followed, Mom pushed me to master Haley's routine. I practiced makeup and hair until she deemed me as skilled as any girl my age. Dressing became second nature, and I started to develop a sense of style, favoring full skirts that hit just above the knee and tops that hugged my curves or highlighted my bust. I didn't notice how much I was changing until we were at the mall, and I spotted a dress in a shop window. It was a summer dress, off-white with a delicate floral print, 2 thin straps, a fitted bodice, and a wide skirt. I let out an excited squeal, insisting I had to try it on. Mom's laughter rang out as I realized what I'd done. I bought the dress, pairing it with white shoes, and it felt perfect, darling, even. The day of our visit to Tyler's mother arrived. I started with a long bubble bath, meticulously removing any stray hair, then sat at the vanity to perfect my makeup, nearly matching the salon's precision. I slipped into white panties, a bra, the padded brief, pantyhose, and a white slip before pulling the floral dress over my head and zipping it up. Stepping into the white shoes, I brushed out my hair, securing it with small white clips that kept it off my face, lending an innocent, almost girlish charm. Pale red lipstick, a spritz of perfume, green and white button earrings, and a matching choker necklace completed the look. As I studied myself in the mirror, I wasn't just Haley, I was her, fully, and the thought of meeting Tyler's mother as this girl sent a nervous thrill through me, anchoring me further into a life I hadn't planned, but couldn't seem to escape. I wasn't trying to win over Tyler's mother. I just wanted to hold on to some shred of dignity. Every trace of my old self had to be erased, at least for the day. Mom and I drove up the winding driveway, past ivy-draped brick walls and a towering tree, pulling up to a pair of imposing, glossy, dark doors. A man who could only be Tyler's father greeted us, his broad frame a hint of where Tyler got his size. With a casual wave, he held the door open, my heels clicking sharply on the hardwood as he led us through the house to a sprawling brick patio. A pool gleamed under the sun, surrounded by tables shaded by colorful umbrellas. Tyler's mother, Karen, rose to greet us, her small stature barely over 5'1", making me wonder how she'd produced a giant like Tyler. She took my hand, her smile warm as she nodded at Mom. "You're even prettier than your pictures, Haley," she said lightly. "You look so much like your mother." I smiled, settling into a chair, bracing for the interrogation I was sure was coming. She'd want to know if I was good enough for her son, a test I couldn't pass, but couldn't admit to failing. Tyler's dad, Brian, handed me a soft drink and asked, "How old are you, Haley?" I swallowed. "Almost 18, just a few months to go." Karen tilted her head. "Tyler thinks you're already 18, doesn't he?" I nodded, forcing a sheepish grin. "A little white lie, Karen. I didn't want him thinking I was some teeny bopper." She laughed softly. "Oh, he doesn't think that at all. From his emails, I'd say he's smitten. He'll want to spend a lot of time with you when he's back. But he's a big boy, he'll decide for himself. How do you feel about him?" The question hit like a punch. I took a breath, choosing my words carefully. "It's hard to say since we haven't met. Things would need to click in person. If they do, great. If not, at least he had letters and pictures to keep the loneliness at bay." Before I could relax, Brian pulled out a camera, snapping photos, some of me alone, some with Mom, some with Karen, and a few with all three of us. I knew Tyler would see everyone, and the weight of my deception grew heavier. Then, almost casually, Brian mentioned Saturday night dances at their country club, inviting us to join them in 2 weeks. "It's fancy, but not too formal," he said. I shot Mom a pleading look, silently begging her to decline, but she accepted with a smile before I could protest. We stayed for 3 hours, the conversation light but loaded with unspoken expectations, before heading home. In the car, I let my fears spill out. "Mom, this is getting out of control. Accepting that invitation pulls me even closer to Tyler and his family. I'm in too deep already." She glanced at me, her expression calm but unyielding. "Haley, you're already in as deep as it gets. Karen met you, and she likes you, thinks you're perfect for her son. She's already picturing you as the bride. You can't go back to being a boy now, not after today." I groaned, sinking into the seat. "Mom, I can't." She cut me off. "I warned you, didn't I? No one's saying you have to marry Tyler, but you passed Karen's test. We serve on that committee together, and she won't hesitate to drop by our house. That means Haley has to be there, all the time. Those breast forms are glued on for months, so you're a girl now, like it or not. My advice? Start building a feminine identity, get some ID. Figure out how to make yourself look more like a girl, especially if Karen invites you to swim in that pool. You can't wear the padded brief in a swimsuit, and that could be a problem." Her words hit hard. What started as a kind gesture had spiraled into a life I hadn't anticipated. The breast forms, once foreign, now felt like part of me. Wearing skirts and dresses, which I dreaded at first, was becoming second nature. The daily ritual of slipping on a bra, feeling the gentle tug of the straps, and the snug pressure across my back was so routine that the few times I went without one, I felt exposed, incomplete. My styled hair, arched brows, and polished nails left no room for retreat. I was Haley now, and with every step, the path back to my old self grew fainter, leaving me to navigate a future I couldn't yet see. I was, in every way that mattered, a girl, at least to everyone who saw me. Mom never let me forget she'd warned me this would happen, her words echoing like the slave trailing a Roman hero, whispering that glory fades. She called my choice a mistake, yet she went all in, ensuring I passed every test, transforming me into the young woman I'd claimed to be. In my bedroom, I stripped bare, staring at the mirror. My thin limbs and narrow shoulders had never let me compete as a boy. At 130 pounds when I first slipped into a dress, I was now down to 124, thanks to Mom's strict diet. The breast forms, round and full, moved with me, their weight a constant reminder of my new reality. But below, my lack of hips and the stubborn presence of my male anatomy shattered the illusion. I had to be flawless, able to wear anything, go anywhere, do anything a girl could. Staring at my reflection, I lingered on the photos of Haley pinned to the wall. To my surprise, I realized I didn't hate this, not entirely. Parts of being a girl felt right, even good. Determined to solve my problem, I turned to the internet, diving into forums where guys lived as women, some so convincing I could hardly believe it. If they could do it, so could I. After hours of searching, I found it. A custom-made panty that promised hips, a feminine silhouette, and a fully functional vagina, hiding everything male. It was pricey, but I wanted the best. If I was going to be Haley, I'd be all in. I printed the order form, marked the page, and shut down the computer. The next day, I took precise measurements, including the parts I wanted gone, then walked to an art supply store to match my skin tone exactly. Opting for the premium version, I filled out the form, hit send, and printed the confirmation, keeping it all from Mom. I wanted to surprise her, to show her I could handle this myself. As I sat back, I imagined shedding Mr. Happy for Ms. Happy! A slim chance to soften the blow if Tyler ever learned the truth. I dressed and started dinner, my mind buzzing with possibilities. Mom kept me busy, insisting I master new hairstyles: a French braid, a Gibson, a page boy, a flip. My hair, now longer, was a hassle, but she brushed off my complaints, saying it would teach me to care for it better. I got the hang of the curling iron after a few singed scalps, learning to work backward in the mirror. Days passed 3, then 4. On the 5th, a package arrived. I grabbed it before Mom could see, locking myself in my room to tear it open. The panty was perfect, its color a seamless match to my skin. Following the instructions, I carefully maneuvered it into place, using the adhesive to secure it. A glance in the mirror stopped me cold. Hips, a subtle curve below my waist, and no trace of what had been. It was comfortable, natural. To test it, I downed a glass of water, and soon enough, confirmed it worked as promised. Slipping on panties, I noticed how they hugged my new shape, even hinting at the faint outline of my transformed silhouette. Grinning, I pulled on my tightest shorts, old cut-off jeans from my boy days, and a fitted tee. The effect was stunning. I strutted downstairs for a soda, expecting Mom to lose it, but she barely glanced up from her knitting. Annoyed, I pushed further, announcing I was heading to the mall and grabbing the car keys. She didn't even flinch. At the mall, I tried on dresses and skirts, reveling in the freedom of not worrying about being exposed. For the first time, I stepped out of the changing room to check myself in the hallway mirror, confidence surging as I saw Haley staring back, no trace of doubt in her reflection. I scooped up 2 outfits from the store, a flowing dress and a sleek 2-piece paid, and wandered the mall, basking in the freedom of not being afraid. For once, I wasn't hiding. I caught guys' eyes as I passed, their glances boosting my confidence, as if I'd scored high on some unspoken scale. Back home, Mom was nowhere in sight, so I slipped into the two-piece, adjusting it carefully, and headed to the family room. Still no Mom. I stepped out to the patio without thinking, only to freeze when I saw her sitting with Karen. Mom's eyes widened slightly, but she stayed quiet as I strolled to the table and sat. "Haley!" Karen beamed. "You look darling in that suit. Tyler's going to love it." Mom's voice was soft, almost amused. "She does, doesn't she? Went shopping this morning without a word, and now look at her." Karen leaned forward. "I stopped by to say our daughter Amber and her boyfriend will join us Saturday. She suggested he bring a friend for you, Haley, so you won't be stuck alone all night." I glanced at Mom, who smirked. "Sure," I said, playing along. "Why not?" Karen lingered a bit before leaving, and I braced for Mom's questions. Alone, she zeroed in. "How are you wearing a bikini?" No way to dodge it. In my room, I stripped bare, standing before her. She stared, speechless, then managed, "When I said make yourself more feminine, I didn't expect this. Is it functional?" I grinned, unable to hide my excitement. "In every way, Mom. It works just like the real thing. No issues so far." Her eyebrows shot up. "So, you could, with a man?" I shrugged. "The instructions say yes, but I got it to pass as a girl, not for that." She sighed. "Not safer, Haley. Just more like a girl. Girls face risks guys don't rape, pushy boyfriends, or other things men expect. It's not safer, just different. But since you've got the body now, we should get you proper ID. Driving with your old license as a girl isn't smart, especially if you had to prove you're male." She stood. "Get dressed. We need a party dress for Saturday." I swapped the shorts for a skirt, then tried on the lilac sheath dress we'd bought. It hugged my new curves, the low neckline showing just enough cleavage. Mom smiled, finally approving. "You look spectacular." We added matching shoes, a bag, and jewelry before heading home. In my room, I checked my email, anxious after 10 days of silence from Tyler. 9 messages waited. He'd been on a mission, he wrote, apologizing for the delay. He raved about the photos his dad sent, saying he couldn't wait to meet me. His parents liked me, especially his mom, who was already dreaming of our future. He didn't mention mission details, only that it was terrifying. A new photo showed him with a beard, rugged but handsome. My hand drifted to my lap, touching the new contours, wondering just how far this could go. Saturday night arrived, and I met Amber, Tyler's sister, at the country club. Taller than her mom, but less striking, she was warm, introducing me to everyone she knew. My date, Ken, was her boyfriend's friend, a polite setup we both saw through. We kept things light, but older men at the dance kept cutting in, their eyes lingering too long. After the third round, Amber and I fled to the ladies' room. "Bunch of dirty old men out there," I muttered. She laughed. "That last guy was glued to your dress." Grinning, she leaned in. "You're saving that for my brother, right? He's a big teddy bear, Haley. Play him right, and he's yours forever." I raised an eyebrow. "A teddy bear? After a war?" She winked, undeterred. And I couldn't help but wonder what Tyler would really be like, and whether I could keep Haley's secret when the time came. Amber and I burst into laughter, her warning about Tyler's can opener lingering as we rejoined the table, our bond sealed in that moment. She'd given me a glimpse of her brother's softer side, and I couldn't shake the warmth it sparked. On the drive home, I rambled about Amber's stories, my excitement spilling over until Mom cut me off mid-sentence. "You sound like a lovesick girl, Haley," she said, her smile knowing. "I think you liked being a girl long before that fancy panty." I opened my mouth to protest, but she waved me off. "Don't deny it. It was obvious tonight. You're not just playing a part, you're falling for this soldier you've been writing to. On Monday, we'll make it official. No more nonsense about not wanting this. You know it's true, don't you? I didn't answer. She'd seen through me, and deep down, I knew she was right. The realization had crept up slowly, but I couldn't deny it. I liked being Haley. More than that, I wanted Tyler to hold me, to sweep me up like the bear Amber described, to claim me with a passion I was starting to crave. The thought made me smile, a secret thrill I kept to myself. Monday came, and instead of heading to the DMV, Mom took me to our lawyer. With a few signatures, I became Haley Lynn, legally a girl. Armed with the paperwork, I got a new driver's license, marked female, cementing my new identity. Over the next few weeks, Amber and I grew closer, our friendship blossoming. One night, she invited me to sleep over at her house. We giggled like kids, earning a few shushings from her mom. Then, Amber pulled out what she called her toy, a realistic-looking device she held with a mischievous grin. "This is Brutus," she said. "Took my cherry in high school. Technically, I'm still a virgin, but this refreshes a girl. Want to try? I've got a brand new one." I blinked, stunned. "Me? Stick that in myself?" She laughed. "Not now, silly. Take it home for those lonely nights." I slipped it into my bag when she wasn't looking, curious about my panties' capabilities and what it might feel like. Amber returned to school, and I enrolled in the local college's nursing program, a choice I made after talking with Mom. I wasn't going back to being a boy. Nursing felt like a path to a future I could embrace. In my third week, I stumbled across a program testing new drugs to help males transition to females. I signed up as a volunteer, eager to see where it could lead. Tyler and I kept writing, and I sent him a photo of myself in a lacy black baby doll, which he loved more than I expected. The program monitored me closely, and by Christmas, my body had changed so much that Mom and I had the breast forms removed. Beneath them, I'd grown into a full A cup, my hips rounding out naturally. Free of the prosthetics, I felt like a new person, but only halfway to who I wanted to be. One night, alone in the dark, I pulled out Amber's toy. Hesitant at first, I guided it toward the panties opening. It resisted, then gave way, sliding in with a sensation that made me gasp. As I moved it, I imagined Tyler, his presence vivid in my mind, my breaths quickening until I stopped, overwhelmed. Holding it in the dim light, I kissed it impulsively, then tasted it, the plastic cold and lifeless. It wasn't enough, but I knew a real man would be different. I hid it away, smiling at the thought of what might come. My body, now hairless and curvier, felt like mine, but the panty was growing tight as my hips expanded. I decided to have it removed. With Mom's help, we peeled it off, revealing a diminished version of my former self. A bit of tape restored the illusion of a girl, and I felt ready to take the next step. By spring, I was a fully developed woman, save for one small detail. My doctor, seeing my progress, offered to complete the transition. I signed the papers without hesitation, and within a week, I was a real girl, my body finally matching who I'd become. As I looked in the mirror, I felt a rush of anticipation. Tyler was still out there, our letters bridging the distance, and I couldn't wait for him to return to guide me through the tender, thrilling moment when I'd give myself to him fully, as the woman I now was. Karen, Brian, Mom, and Amber visited me after the surgery, their warm smiles masking whatever they knew about my transformation. I kept quiet about the procedure, focusing instead on settling into my new reality. Classes resumed, and I adjusted to being Haley in every sense, each day feeling more natural than the last. Then came Tyler's letter, its words both thrilling and infuriating. "Dearest Haley," it began, "I'll be home in 2 weeks, aching to hold you, to kiss every inch of you. Your letters were my lifeline through the war, read and reread to keep me sane. But I was wounded, and it'll make things harder for me. If you feel I'm not worthy of you anymore, I'll understand. I arrive on the 12th. Tyler." I read it again and again, my anger flaring. Did he think I'd only want him if he was unscathed? I didn't care about his injury, I wanted him, whole or not. His vague mention of a grave wound felt like cowardice, which I knew he wasn't. Furious, I called Karen and read her the letter. Her sigh carried over the line. Haley, he was shot in the arm, lost part of his left hand. He's afraid you'll reject him for it. I told him you've gone to great lengths to be the girl he wants, but he's ashamed of the mistake that cost him. He loves you, but he's bracing for rejection. I clenched the phone. I want to be there when he steps off that plane, Karen. I'll show him who's rejecting who. I don't care about his hand, he's alive, and that's enough. Please, tell me when he's landing. She did more than that. Karen made reservations and took me with her and Brian to the airport. As Tyler stepped off the plane, his bandaged hand barely noticeable, his grin lit up the terminal. He looked smaller than in his photos, but that smile was unmistakable. Brian and Karen enveloped him in hugs and kisses while I stood aside, heart pounding. His eyes locked onto mine, that goofy grin widening as he broke free from his parents and strode toward me. In one fluid motion, he pulled me close, his lips finding mine in a kiss that drowned out the world. Laughing with joy, I kissed him back, clinging to him as if I could anchor him to me forever. We checked into a hotel, then went to dinner, where I couldn't take my eyes off him. A major now, he'd led an elite unit through daily danger, yet his shy glances at me betrayed a gentleness that drew me closer. When we found ourselves alone, his hesitation lingered, so I took charge, leading him to my room. I slipped into the lacy black baby doll he'd loved in the photo, standing before him as his eyes drank me in. The months of longing dissolved as I undressed him, my hands steady but deliberate, savoring the warmth of his skin, the soft fur of his chest. His breath grazed my neck, sending shivers through me, and when his lips found my breasts, I melted, guiding him to the places that set me alight. We moved together, fierce and unrestrained, not once, not twice, but 3 times, each wave more intense than the last. Hours bled into morning, and we emerged, sated and intertwined, 2 lovers who'd found each other at last. As he changed his bandage, I saw the wound missing fingers, a small price for his survival. It only deepened my love for him, a man who'd fought and come home to me. At breakfast, his hand brushed mine, a promise of countless mornings to come. But as we sat, a shadow flickered across his face. "Haley," he said softly, "there's something I haven't told you." My heart skipped, sensing a shift. Before I left, I made a choice to protect someone I thought I'd lost forever. My sister, Amber. She's not just my sister. She's my twin, and she's been hiding something too. My breath caught as Amber stepped into the room, her expression unreadable. "Haley," she said, "Tyler and I have been keeping a secret. I was the one who suggested you write to him, knowing you'd be perfect for each other. But I also knew who you were before Haley. I saw it in your eyes that first day, and I pushed you toward this, hoping you'd find yourself." My mind reeled, the pieces falling into place, her knowing glances, her insistence on my transformation. Tyler squeezed my hand. "I love you, Haley, for who you are now. But I knew the truth from the start, and I let you become this for me." The room spun as their words sank in, revealing a conspiracy of love that had shaped me into the woman I was, leaving me to wonder if I'd chosen Haley or if Haley had chosen me.